Have you ever wondered what the statistics of your life are? What your life looks like from the situations that you've been through? And have you ever wondered what those statistics could have led to if you didn't know Jesus? Think about what I'm saying, the statistics of our lives with Jesus and without Jesus. From my own perspective, I did a study about sexual assault and incest, that 1 in 5 girls are victims of sexual abuse, and domestic violence, that 1 in 3 girls or 1 in 3 women are victims of domestic violence. There's an average of 72 deaths from bee stings each year, and 7% of children pass away because of medical neglect, where the parents are the perpetrators, meaning that the parents neglect their children and some of these children die. When we look further into the statistics of our own lives, and from my own perspective, things that I've actually gone through, when my parents were divorced multiple times, the effect on me was emotional distress, academic problems. I had problems at school and problems with other children, and on my future relationships, having domestically violent relationships. And then I became a runaway. Because I was a runaway, the statistics of my future life were decreased in multiples, meaning that being a teen runaway and a girl that came from a domestically violent household where I had been medically neglected, and also a victim of sexual assault and incest, the statistics increased in a negative way. I was an endangered runaway. And according to those studies, running away significantly increases the risk of harm and death for young people, including missing children, endangered individuals, which are at an increased risk for violence, substance abuse, and exploitation. Then there's the medical misdiagnoses. Once again, I was stung by a swarm of bumblebees at an early age, and then shortly thereafter, I was bitten by thousands of ticks. And Lyme disease is difficult to diagnose. I had multiple symptoms, including toxic shock syndrome, co-infections, and delayed treatment. I wasn't diagnosed until I was 35 years old. I had terrible symptoms. My conditions left me in a state where people just thought I was weird, and they didn't understand what I was going through. I had emotional trauma on top of being medically ignored, and ignored by my family members. During my formative years, I was a victim of sexual assault and incest and grooming as a child. There were multiple perpetrators that tried to gain my trust, and then they overtook me because they were bigger than me, and they asked me to stay silent. They manipulated me multiple times, which went on for years, which ended up with me having multiple abortions. And then I was involved in domestic violence as a young person, in relationships with individuals that were narcissistic and toxic, and the toxic cycles were on repeat. And I never spoke about these things until a few years ago when I wrote my book, The Testimony, Christian Experience, A Paradox, where I speak in depth about multiple situations that left me at high risk. And then there was the ostracization by religious individuals. Because my dad is a pastor and I was the scapegoat of the family, it was easy to shift all the blame onto me and make me look like the bad guy. When I was a child, there were things going on that should have not been going on. But to this day, people in the church will not acknowledge sexual assault or domestic violence unless if we stop being silent. And we need to let others know that believing in Jesus sets us free from those toxic cycles. We don't have to stay silent. We don't have to sit there and expect for things to change, because they won't if we stay silent. If we don't tell our stories, other people will not know what is going on or what has gone on. The facts continue to be quite staggering the more that I research about the financial costs to religious organizations is significant. The churches spend more than $5 billion because of allegations of sexual abuse of minors, and how churches have ignored the situation and how it's impacting faith and spirituality, and complete chaos ensues in churches when these truths are brought forward. People don't want to believe it. There's a loss of trust. Mental health is affected across the board with depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress, and relationship difficulties. There's a mass amount of shame and guilt and self-blame. And the long-term implications of sexual abuse in churches are vast, from transmitted infections to chronic illnesses and other things that go with that. There is an importance of the prevention and intervention for the focus to change from being a victim to an overcomer. When we speak the truth in love and we tell others our story and cover it with the blood of Jesus, knowing that we're freed from the bondage of slavery and that we don't have to go back to that, then we are truly free, and we can forgive others for the missteps in the church, and therefore the church will grow and become accountable.